Hello, hello. Welcome to Auto Review, Clean Data, Use Cases, and My Favorite Things. Those of you that were live, you might find there's a couple of differences in here, just simply because of the fact that there were issues with the original recording. So I have re-recorded this so that way you have something to have access to. So that is why there was a delay in sending this out. So welcome to Auto Review, Clean Data, Use Cases, and My Favorite Things. So hello, I am Tanya Hilt, a certified professional bookkeeper, and I'm here because I'm passionate about clean files. You can find me at Tanya's Bootcamp at Twitter, Instagram, and I'm just Tanya Hackman Hilt on Facebook. A little bit about myself. I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm just going to go through some of the highlights. I'm recently a level 5 certified advisor through Mentor Plus under the tutelage of Jeannie Whitehouse. I am Insightful Accountant's Top 100 Pro Advisors for 2018, 19, 20, and 21. Intuit's Global Firm of the Future for 2018. I am a volunteer mentor through Futurepreneur Canada and Women in Accounting. I am a member of the Intuit Writer Trainer Network, a CPB Canada board member, and the founder of Cloud Business Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. Hardik, who was on the call live, who will be on all of our future calls, that's Hardik. He's got 12 plus years of experience working as an accountant in different industries. He is the co-founder of Zenit, which is now the main company for Autoreview. Autoreview is the product, and Zenit is the company now. And so this all started with the journey in July of 2020 with Autoreview. And working in the different geographic regions such as US, Canada, Australia, UK, and New Zealand. So raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with string. These are a few of my favorite things. Oh, no, wait, those are Julie Andrews' favorite things from The Sound of Music. We're here to talk about my favorite things with Auto Review. So most of you that have been to my recordings or presentations or webinars know that, as of the last couple of recent years, I like to include some quotes that are relevant to the topic of discussion. And so here's first off a quote from a very esteemed colleague and good friend of mine, and somebody who has been talking about clean data for years and years and years before most of us really understood the purpose reasoning behind clean data. So there's clean data for compliance purposes, and then there's clean data for integrations, and that's Shirley Mather's, CPB. And this I loved when I found this quote. So this quote is by Ronald Coase, who's an economist and author. Torture the data and it will confess to anything. And that is so true. So inaccurate data has a direct impact on the bottom line of 88% of companies, with the average company losing 12% of its revenue. Now, those are some pretty staggering numbers that, just some things that can be missed just by, human error can have such a big impact on the bottom line of companies. So Auto Review by Zenit provides a solution to ensuring accurate data and making you look brilliant and enabling you to maximize your review process and expand into additional revenue streams. So down to my favorite things, because that's one of the topics today. My favorite thing, number one, clean data, faster and easier. Favorite thing number two, you can customize the reports to find anything or any anomaly you can think of. Favorite thing number three, you can train your team and increase their confidence just with the software. Favorite thing number four, cleaner files going to the accountant. Favorite thing number five, save time at year end. 7 common issues with data. So assets. How many times have you found an asset categorized as an expense in error? Or even the other way around, expenses categorized as an asset. Auto Review actually has custom reports that we can set up to automatically pull those, so that way if we didn't catch it, the reports are going to catch it. So we've all come across that at one point or another, and you can set the reports at a specified dollar amount. So, corporations are usually $500 is usually, the limit for CCA. So we can set that. You can change it afterwards. So that way, if it is something slightly different that the accountant wants put through, or if you are the accountant, then that's fine. You can change that. And of course, reverse it. Another report will say, hey, if there's anything, over, so let's say there's one large bill with, $1,000 on it, it'll pull that and you get a chance to go in and take a look at that and see, are those truly items that, should not be categorized as assets, or do you want to categorize them as assets still? So, assets is again, one of the top 7 common issues with data that auto review will solve. Tax code. So those of us in states or provinces, which is probably everybody that's watching this, especially that have multiple tax codes, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. You can set up a custom report that pulls all the items and sort it by either account or tax code for quick viewing. And yes, I'm going to show all this stuff to you in a nice quick demo as well too. But this allows you to make a correction where necessary. And just as a hint, one account that I pull is the shareholders or owner's draw account. I pull that through because I want to make sure that everything in there is an out-of-scope tax code. And you know what? Sometimes things do slip through. Inventory. Well, I don't deal with inventory, but it's one of the top 5 common errors. You can easily create a custom report that will allow you to search for specific words or in inventory part numbers that are maybe accidentally coded as a COGS account instead of directly within the inventory account. Clearing accounts. We use clearing accounts frequently. However, unless you reconcile the accounts, which we do most of the time now, but these can easily be overlooked. So setting a report that will pull all clearing accounts for a quick peek to ensure the balance is 0 is the best and quickest way to catch these. Duplicate entries. It's a thorn in everybody's sides. There's a standard report that's already there that can advise you of the possible duplicate entries. And as a bonus, you can see which of the transactions has already cleared to make very quick, easy investigation. So if something was pushed through as a bill and it ended up getting added, through, the bank feed as an expense, it's going to catch that. Unused accounts. So who amongst us does not like to keep clean lists? But who's got the time? So I know this is on my list every year to try to go through, my suppliers or vendors, customers, clients, whichever you refer to them at, and my chart of accounts. I like to just get rid of what's inactive. Why let it sit there and clutter up? But you know what? I really don't have the time to do that, to go into every single account, see when it was last used and closed it off. So this is actually one of my favorite things as well too, because we can go in from the report, we can select up to 30 at a time and deactivate them. And let us know when they were last used, as well as if there's a current balance, so that we can use that in our decision making as to whether to do that or not. This, in our team, I am the one who handles this part of it. I would rather be the one to make that decision, but again, your team you may want to handle differently. And just to answer your next question that you might be thinking of, no, you may not inactivate the main account in the chart of accounts, but you can't deactivate within your main accounting software. So just a nice little quick visual here. Autoreview detects 90% of the errors, which gives you a time savings of 70%, which adds to business growth. The real-time reporting of errors expedites the closing of the books, which is a great value-added services, and streamline and process-driven review is an increase in stability, which again is value-added services, business growth, and all of this increases your bottom line. Manual reviews is not sustainable because it's time-consuming, it's repetitive review, it's people-dependent, and it lacks completeness. So we're going to pop in and take a quick look at the product right now. Okay, so this is our sample file. It's the family business. And let's just take a look through here. So what we've got is a couple of things. First off, for those of you who've been using this, this is the screen that you now sign into. Whereas before we used to pop into the dashboard, now we pop into speed mode. So I'm just going to show you guys a few things, walk around a few little things here. So here's the dashboard. We click up there, it takes us to this. It shows us the reconciliation status of any of the accounts here, the type of account, when the last reconciled entry was. So in this case, we've got nothing, which means it hasn't been reconciled. Where it's just really important to point out a difference, the way the API pulls, it will not tell us when it was reconciled to. So as an example, if we reconciled in QBO or Zero, because yes, it now does integrate with Zero, but if we reconcile to, let's say, July 31st in QBO or Zero, we've got here the last reconciled entry, let's just say was the 29th. There was nothing on the 30th or the 31st because those happen to be a Saturday and Sunday, so there's nothing showing in the bank statement. QuickBooks or Zero is going to show us as reconciled to July 31st. Here will show as reconciled to the last reconciled entry. So it'll show the, 28th, 29th, whatever the date on that last entry is. So that's why there's just a little bit of a change in language here. So that way we know that is the last reconciled entry, not the day it was reconciled to. And then, of course, here's the balance as of the date. So you see here, I've got July pulled, so it's showing me the balance for July. Here, we can also add, so let's say there's some other type of accounts, prepaid expense accounts or accrued accounts that you want to add in here, some type of liability account. All you have to do is what is selected is what is not showing here. So if you select it, it is going to exclude it. So you've got a little bit of flexibility here through the bank, equity accounts, other current asset, other current liability. So any of those you can go ahead and reconcile. Again, if it's ticked, it means you're excluding it. And that is, again, I'd hit save here. And again, that was just a little gear icon right here. If you just hit the I here, it actually does explain everything that it does, which I love those little I's. They're all over the place and it will answer your questions. So here it explains everything that I have discussed, which is it doesn't affect the reconciliation status, so it shows the last date. Okay, profit and loss snapshot. So this defaults to 6 months. So I've got July up here, and so this will default to 6 months. Now, this is just a snapshot, so it is different than you're going to expect to see in QBO or in Zero. It's just here's the income, the costs, expenses, profit, and the profit percentage. So just a real quick snapshot and transactions count down here. I love this because it can break down. So if you're using this to price and want to see what the volume is, if the volume gone up or down over the last 6 months, you can do that. You can see exactly what type and the amount, so which is great. Now, let's say I want to look at, a year. I want to look at all of 2020. I can just change the date. So I click up here in the date field, the first date and the last date, click the check mark. Now this is going to show me. So here's the balance as of December 30th. Again, there's still no reconciled entries within this period. But right here, now we've got a slide bar and it shows me the full year. Same thing, transaction count. It shows me the full year. So this is really good and handy, again, when you're looking at either pricing a new file or pricing in a renewal file, just to see what the volume is, how it's, how it's changed. All right, so we pop into speed mode. And over here in speed mode, we've got a few things. So first off, we click up here. We can configure a layout of all of these. I don't want to change my layout, so I'm just going to hit save for all of these, but you could configure, again, if you're configuring, maybe you want to take some of these reports out. So you untick them and they won't show anymore. But I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to keep them all ticked off and hit save. And those are the standard reports that they come automatically with. under review and resolve. We also have to sign off on all zeros. Now, you'll notice I can't click it right now. It says here we've got to start the review process to be able to do that. And here's where you start the review process. So I'll start this, and this will give me January to December, because remember, those are the months that I picked. So yes, I want to continue. So now I can click here and sign off on all zeros, and it'll automatically go through the custom built ones for review and resolve and sign off everything with a 0. We can change the due date, which is part of the setup. It's what date of the month do you want to do this. We just default to the last day of the month, finalize the history, or undo. So if somebody's done a review already, I want to undo that for whatever reason, we can undo it and redo it. And finalize history will just simply show me the history, but there's no data found. I've cleared that out for this. Okay, so when we go through, here's the reports. They're under the review and resolve. Again, we can make it big or little. Uncategorized entries. So, uncategorized entries, what do we want to do? We can customize this, but it does a really good job of selecting the accounts that you'd want to use in the first place. So, again, we click on the gear, click on here, the mapping of accounts. There's 10 selected, and it shows us which ones are selected. So, we can either scroll through and select which one. So here we're selecting, or you can start to type in. So we can look for anything with miscellaneous. There's already 2 accounts. Those of us that use like an Ask Accountant, Ask Bookkeeper, Ask Client, we can tick those off. Anything that's other, that's there. Uncategorized, you can do that. We can, unapplied maybe, already picked. If you wanted to use a suspense account, I wouldn't do that in here. I would leave it anything uncategorized. So that's great. You hit save, and it'll take care of that. The filter here is just filtering the dates and the decimals, but that may change through some of the reports. So it's interesting to take a look at that. We just run, we'll keep those dates, and we take a look here. We can then further customize the report here. This is how the report comes standard. I've added in notes and tax codes. I've already done a few changes to these, but if we click on the little hamburgers on any of these, we can now get to our columns, and we can pick the columns that we want to see. So we want to see tags, which we do use tags to communicate internally. Type, the reference number, account, name. I like just seeing, I don't like the split. The split will show you both sides, so that shows you your double entry. I don't necessarily want to see the split account that it went into. And then it can show debits and credits. I don't want to see that either. I just like seeing the amount. And then we scroll down, tax code, note. So there's a few things here. All right, so if we click on the 3 lines here, we've got options. We can either pin the column, like to the left, the right, or no pin. We can auto size this. So if we were going to pin it, it then takes it and it moves it pinned here to the left. So, oops. And no pin just puts it just normal, which just happens to be the tag is first, and then this. So then the other options, auto size this column, auto size all columns. So it'll kind of bring them in here, or you can group by date, reset the column. So group by date means that, yep, it'll pop them in here by date, and you can expand that way. We can ungroup by date, and it's only group by date is here. So if we went here, this is a group by type. And you'll notice here that it pulls up here. So if we've got, I'm going to group by something, we pull it up here as well too. So we get rid of type and account, and want group by name, it'll group by name. The default is to have it group by account. And of course you just saw, we can move things around. So if we want them to be in a different space, and that's great. If I look at this and say, you know what, I don't want this to take up as much room, I can pull this over. There's an awful lot that we can do here, which is pretty cool. We have a filter on some of these. So if I want to filter here for name, I can then get in, it'll give me details about what the name ones are. So again, we've got the filter that we can use all of them, which is really cool. If you're going to change around with these, hit Save Table View, because otherwise what happens is if you don't hit Save Table View, when you go out and you go back in, it will be exactly what it was the first time before you made your adjustments. Now, let's say we look at these. So here's a note. This is okay, we'll continue. So that's my note that I put in there. So these, we use the notes again to communicate with each other as well as well as we have tags. So here's the tags. You set the tags up on your account, your main team account, and then all of these tags show up on every client account. So we've got team discussion needed, added to review because we do a monthly review that we then send to the client. It's almost like a little report card. Review with Tanya, coach back, and investigated okay. So that will stay here on that transaction level. So if this transaction should happen to show up in one of the other reports for a different reason, it will still have the same code attached. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so you can also bulk reclassify. So let's say I wanted to change the pair of these. I can hit bulk reclassify, select the ones I want to reclassify, come back up here, click the reclassify, and it will bring this up. What do I want to reclassify them to? Do I want to change the date on them, the name, the account, or the customer? And it will change on all of these. So I don't want to make any bulk reclassify right now. We are going to be able to expand on those. Autoreview does have on the roadmap to be able to bulk reclassify sales tax and by other items. So that is coming on the roadmap, just not current. So if we, again, I've talked about the little I, take a look here. This tells us exactly what the uncategorized report pulls. And then again, as I said, that you can go ahead and change that. So we go down, entries posted to a parent account. Cannot stand when they're posted to a parent account. So I love this report to automatically be here. Again, same thing. You can filter. We can change the grouping. You can exclude accounts. So all of that is here as well. And again, you click on your little I, you can see exactly what it is. If you're looking to pull a report, export it. You can export to Excel. I do like, let's just wait for this to open. And I love the way the reports look because they do look different than the QBO reports. I'm not sure about Xero reports because I only work in QBO. So you can then put notes here. You can send it to the client. You can stick it in, if you have a portal, share file or Google, you can upload this to Google, put it in share file, send them a link to be able to share all of this, put a note, get a note, add a column to receive a note back from clients. Again, all of this stuff, or you can just even use this in reports. I know that I did a deep dive diagnostic review for a client and gave them a report, and I incorporated some reports from QBO and some reports from here. And the client noticed immediately. They said, "Ooh, those are nice. Those aren't QBO reports." And I said, "No, they're not." So the client knew I was using something else. He was an accountant, so he knows what the QBO reports look like. Didn't know what I was using. So, but he really liked the look of it. So that was great. Entries without name. This is, again, if you really like clean, pristine books with everything in there, these are ones that went through without names. So it's really easy if you're adding from a bank feed to, add it through without a name. And of course, here we don't add from the bank feed. We like to have a receipt attached to everything that's come through Dex, but that's our process. So if there is anything that's gone through here without the name, you can see this in this report. Negative or zero balance suppliers. So while I don't have any that show up in this list, what that would be for is if we look at our AR reports and there happens to be a zero amount owing or a negative amount owing, that would tell us that potentially there's a credit that needs to be cleared out and used at some point. Maybe it was actually, maybe you look and you see it was a credit from Staples for something being returned. Well, we know Staples isn't going to sit there with a supplier credit, or Best Buy or Office Depot, something like that. That is something that probably would have been put back to either refunded back to the original point of payment, or if not refunded back to that, then put on a gift card. So it shouldn't be sitting as a supplier credit. Or if it's sitting at zero, then that means that we've got some things that need to be taken care of from that aspect. Maybe you've got, a bill and a payment or an invoice and a payment for the customers that haven't been matched up together. All right, here's our duplicate entries. So we can see here, now there's two different reference numbers, same date, same amount. So we want, and they're both not cleared. So we do want to look into them. They're not cleared because remember, it's not reconciled. We look and see two different reference numbers. Well, maybe it's something different. But if we click here, we should be able to go directly into QBO. As long as the file is already open, which I already have, I'm already signed in and open to this file. So when I click on that, it's going to bring up the transaction directly in QBO. So I can pop here and look at the other one. So I think I looked at the top one first. Let's see, 5,000. There's no attachments, but we can go in and we can take a look and we can determine were these duplicates, were these not duplicates. So we definitely have that option here. All right, duplicate names. Hey, this happens a lot where you've got something. So again, this is part of keeping it clean. We can take a look. Suppliers, employees, customers. Are there any duplicate names here? So here, go Best Buy with a period and Best Buy. No, you know what? I don't want that. So this is going to tell me that somewhere, whether it be in like my desktop doc, Autoreview, whichever it is that I use, as well as QBO, that we've got some duplicate names in there. So now I can go in and I can clean them up. I can't clean that up in here and push it over, but it tells me I need to go in and clean it up in every other place where I have that. So I can go in and clean that up. I can hit dismiss and it'll go away. If I say, you know what, I don't want to see it again, that's truly not a duplicate. What happens if I made a mistake? Right here, view dismissed. Great. Comes back and I can undismiss it. So now we're in view dismissed. If I unclick that, now I can view ones that are not dismissed. So again, same thing with employee, customer, supplier, or all will just show me all. One thing here too, as we're working through, if I'm ticking this off and I'm like, yep, this is good, I can tick this off, which means I've signed off on it. I can undo the sign off and click here. You might want to use this code as, hey, bring your attention to something. So it's not really truly signed off. But again, that's up to you how you do that internal code. So we can undo it. Instead of clicking down on the list here, we can also click the little arrows here, and it'll take you to the next report down the list. Our unreconciled entries. Again, we click the little arrow, and we can pick which accounts that we want to exclude here. So again, if it's not ticked, we're seeing it. So we can customize this for exactly what we want. The filter, again, this filters the dates and it filters the accounts. So maybe in this filter, so maybe in the main view, the main report, I still want those accounts, but for this view, I don't want to see one account just for this quick report, and I can run it, and that's great. Unless I save table view, it's going to stay exactly how it was, and this is only for this one time. We move to the new suppliers and customers and GL entries. What I like this for is if somebody created a new customer that was a duplicate, I can say, hey, why'd you do that? I just saw it in the duplicate list, but now I see here that it was just newly created. Or they've just created a new GL account. I know in the States, to keep out of QBOA Advanced, you have to have under 150 accounts in the GL. So maybe you are keeping a close eye on it from there. So you want to say, okay, what are the new GL entries? Maybe you say office rental expense, but there was already a rent expense. So you then now know that you can go in and you can merge these. And again, you can trace back to what it was added. So again, this is going to show anything that was added within this time frame. Unusual entries. So what might an unusual entry be, you say? We click here, and it says this is anything that hasn't been used in 6 and more months. So maybe it's something that you didn't want used, and it's still in there to be used. And you're like, oh, I should have closed that down. Didn't want that used. Events trend analysis. This is really, really cool for things that you want to keep an eye on. This starts off with everything. Full payee, full GL, by count or by amount. So this is something, again, you can keep a really close eye on. So let's say you want to say for payees, we can, again, click our little thing here, and we can exclude by payee, we can exclude transaction type, or we can exclude accounts. Whatever we exclude, we will not see. What is here, we will still see. So again, let's see, I took out Canadian Tire, I took out Disney Plus. So what we're looking for is how many transactions a month. Is this consistent transactions? So we go through here and I want to take out anything yoga by the hour. No, I don't care about that. Staples, Petro. We only, again, want to see something that we would expect to see every single month. So again, we can sit there and exclude any that we want, and then boom, they're disappeared. Again, we can exclude by transaction type. So say we're not concerned about, anything that's an invoice, a journal entry, a payment. Let's say we're only looking at an expense. We don't want a sales tax adjustment. We don't want a supplier credit or a bill payment or a deposit or transfer. So again, we can save and we can exclude by that. And we can also exclude by account. So you can do that until you get what you want to see. So again, here you're looking at it by payee. We click here. This is now going to look by GL. So certain things I'd want to take a look at is rent. Again, I want to see that there's a bank loan coming out every single month if that's expected. Otherwise, where did that entry go? Internet. I want to see internet every single month. Mobile phone, which is, great for all of that. Now, if we pop back by payee, and pull down. If we happen to be sorting by payee, we look and we go, well, some are bills, some are expenses. That's really interesting. Why do we have that? So yeah, there's that. And again, you can look by amount. So you can just take a look and you can see by the amount. And again, I would recommend here you're going to put the things that you want to keep an eye on. Review supplier customer GL list. This is the one where we can go ahead and inactivate. So right now you can see there's none inactive. We move this over to active. And let's say I'm looking at this. I'm looking Accounting Unlimited, Big Box Packaging, Lululemon, and Law Group. No entry found in the last 24 months. There's no balance. Hey, if there's a balance, why is this still sitting here? That should have been caught in the AP list. For sure. But we can go ahead and make these inactive so that way we don't see them again. Again, keeps our list nice and neat. I like to be the ones to do this, and I do this more at year end. So I don't like the team to be able to necessarily do this. We take a look here. Maybe I went too soon. I shouldn't have done that. We can click make active, and then boom. We've got these as active now. Same thing with customers and exact same thing with GL. So here again, it's going to show us no entry found in the last 24 months. Again, let's take a look. Inactive, there is one that's inactive, and let's pop back over to active. And I'm very, very sorry, those of you that can hear. My Rosie has been brought in with me, and she is a very, very loud snorer. Unfortunately, I'm home alone today, and yes, if she was already out in the other room. If I close the door, she will bark. Again, you hear a little bit of noise, don't adjust your volume. Okay, so we pop through here under the GL. Again, let's take a look. Let's see the sales of purchase product income and purchases and uncategorized asset and other miscellaneous expense, billable expense income and uncategorized and unapplied. We want to get rid of those. We click make inactive. Yep, we're sure we want to make those inactive. So you'll see here that they came back that you can't delete the account because it's part of the online banking feature or a special account that's used for cash basis accounting on payment transactions. But again, let's say I reacted too quickly. I can just take those ones that did go through and then I can make them active again. Just take a couple of moments here to push through. Done. It's all been made active again, so I've been able to reverse what I've done. All right, so we move on to review expenses. This is kind of like your events and trend analysis, but this is where you can get into it. It actually pulls a little bit more. Could something potentially have made it into the wrong GL? We look here, again, by payee, bill mobility. Oh, there's some flags here. The orange flags tell me it's a potential 3 GL misclassification. So we've got this one here is entered as an internet and website expense. mobile phone expense and telephone expense. So there's conflicting entries here. So the AI has been able to pull this out that, hey, this amount is usually here. And then here there's an extra amount where it's not usually meant to go. And Canadian Tire, office supplies, and uncategorized. So this came up earlier in the uncategorized, but it's again saying, well, office expenses doesn't seem to be where it normally is meant to be. A purple flag is inconsistent amount, and a pink flag is missing entries. So, which is really cool that we can go and take a look at all of those. We hop down into our saved searches. So we'll get into this more in another one, but you can see here that I've gone ahead and set these saved searches for, reconciliation discrepancies, a capitalization limit check. So anything that's over $500, anything that's in an asset account that's maybe under $500, it shouldn't be there because that's the limit I check. Here's anything over $500 in an office supply, repair and maintenance. Again, one of these, and you can always click on here, and this is where you can add, select extra accounts. Transaction total is more than 200. You can add additional search criteria, which is really cool. Tax code review. We like to take a quick look here, and again, we can go back and have this go by tax amount or have it sort by tax amount. I don't know why my computer is showing me all of these little tax accounts. So let's just hit a refresh. But you could go by tax code is what I actually meant to pull to show that you can sort by tax code or you can sort by account. So we were back down here. So if I wanted to sort by tax code, I just pull it up and now it goes in here and then it'll sort by tax code. And you can do that. Now also, when we take a look here, this is expand all columns. And then this here is collapse all. So again, nice and easy to do that. I have a custom report for, my COGS and expenses. Here's my shareholders, no tax. Suspense account. So the suspense account should equal 0. Why doesn't this equal 0 for that? I get to go in and take a look and say, hey, maybe this isn't being used as it's supposed to be. This is showing the payment's not been made. Here's our clearing accounts that, again, should be 0. So the total right here is showing me there's still $100. What's gone on with that? Is that maybe after this period? But that doesn't make sense because this was in March. So nothing's been adjusted with this. So again, we need to go in and clean it up. Items without attachments. Great reports here. That we can have if you want an attachment attached to everything. Again, you can customize all of these. Income with no attachment over 10,000. Cash on hand declared to draw account. Items without attachments. I'm not sure why we have 2 of those, but let's say we say, hey, we don't need that. All we have to do is click on here and go in and we can delete the view, and it deletes that report altogether. And then USD expenses. So we don't have any USD expenses. But again, I've set the criteria to see if in the memo or description contains USD. So that way we'll know, hey, this is USD. It should have an out-of-scope tax, or potentially maybe it does have tax. So we can do all of that. And the good thing is that we can certainly set almost anything up. Then there's the P&L, the balance sheet. Again, they look a little different. They look, so if you did want to go ahead and pull this out, export to Excel and put this in, send this out to a client. It looks really, really nice. So we can do that. Expand these here so that way it shows everything. And it looks really, really nice. So it's quite nice to be able to pull these reports out. AP aging, AR aging, and your current and deposit funds as of whichever date it is that you pick. So you can pull all of those. Up here, global search is, of course, where you can search for anything. So we've got a global search in QBO, so you can do that in an advanced search. And then this is if you want to save it. So again, you can set up any criteria. So you can set the dates, or you can just have it not date and then have the dates run by the dates up here. So you can, again, pick, do you want to run it by name, is or is not? Do you want to run it by the GL account, is or is not? Do you want to run it by, the account number, or look for something? Let's say if you're looking for something that contains 199 and we want to do a quick search. Nope, there's no accounts that contain 199, right? Or is 199. So that would be the account number. If you want to look for something with the amount, there's the, amount in here, and then transaction type, transaction total. So if we put in 199, search, this would be where the transaction total is 199. And we know there's some of those. So that's great. So again, you can add as many layers that you want into the searches to be able to customize anything that you need. So we can get into customized ones in future. So that is a really good rundown of auto review and why I love it. And let's just pop back to our slides here. So Zenit is their company name. So they have recently gone through rebranding. So you can see a little bit of color changes. Zenit Port and Zenit Hub are coming. So keep an eye out for those. I'm extremely, extremely excited about Zenit Port personally. But yes, so there's Zenit Auto Review. Pricing. That is one of the questions that came up. So here's the pricing page. So first off, promo code Tanya20. Okay, sorry, you'll notice I just paused to change this over. The Tanya20, Tanya has to be in caps. So Tanya20 will get any new client or any new sign up 20% off for 6 months, which is pretty cool. So there's no annual commitment, no minimum commitment, so you can have as minimum as one client. Your own practice file is completely free. There's unlimited users. I wouldn't add clients on. I would just keep this to your team, maybe your subcontractors, and there's no charge by features. So US, 1 to 50 clients should be $7.50 per month per client file. And Canada, yes, yay, we get special Canadian pricing of $8.50 per month per client file. And if you've got 50 or more clients, you'll need to contact them for custom pricing. So just a quick cost versus benefit analysis. So what you pay, US dollars, is 90 per client for the whole year. And what you get increased scalability. The staff follows the first time right concept. It saves time by 60 to 70%, expedites the month-end review process, and there's more focus on growth of business and value-added services. So any questions? So there are some questions that came up and some additional information. So first, definitely when it comes to setting up the files, I am the one who sets it up in our practice, and then I discuss it. Once I've set it up, I kind of discuss any of those anomalies with the person that works on the file most of the time. So that way we can make sure that everything is set up properly. The reason being why I do the main setup, so I would highly suggest that, a person in a decision-making role is the one to do this, whether it be your office manager, supervisor, yourself, your partner, something like that. You set it up. That way there's a nice consistent setup between all of them and nothing is being missed. And then again, have that discussion with the person who works in the file on a regular basis to make any tweaks necessary. And then as you go through, you can see if there's anything that needs to be added or adjusted. How we work internally is I don't have time to go through every single file every single month. So what I do is I use this to train the team. So the team, I set up what I want them to look for, the things that are important that needs to be caught, and the team goes through and does the monthly review, and we actually send a review report back to the client. Quarterly, I go in and I do an internal review. So I will go in and look at the quarter after the team has signed off on it. I'll go in and I'll take a look, and that will give me the opportunity to see, is there anything that needs to be coached back that was missed that I need to coach back to my team member? Is there anything that's maybe changed that's coming up that, maybe a new account that was added that we don't need to be pulled. And I need to go in and customize those reports. Or again, is there anything new from the monthly reviews that was sent out to the clients? Is there anything that was noticed there of something I should add into the report? So this is where when I do the quarterly report, I'm then going to go back to the team member and we're going to make sure. So if there's anything that needs to be adjusted, we can adjust it quarterly. At year end, we now have a new addition to our team who is she's a subcontractor, but she's absolutely amazing, and she does the year end. So she will be looking and seeing if there's anything that even I might have missed on the year end. This is what she loves to do. Her expertise is deep dives, doing year ends, looking for things. So it works great the way that we have it going. So that's something that you definitely can have your team go ahead and do, but I wouldn't have your team be the one to set it up unless you've got one point person to go through and set it up, but then you yourself are still going through, or again, a supervisor, a manager, however your firm is set up, can actually go through and do those customizations. Um, I cannot recall if there was any. I think I've hit the majority of the questions that I remember coming up. We're a little short on time, so obviously I did miss some or I talked faster. So I apologize, but this should give you the information that you need. One thing I'm going to point out is I will be doing one of these a month with Auto Review. Everyone will provide different value, so they will not be the same. And they will, obviously, there's going to be some duplication going through the demo, but there is going to be some new information that you'll be able to walk away with. So please come back to them. And of course, if you love it, you're finding it's working for you and you're finding it's working nice, bring a friend. Get a friend to come onto this and to see how they can make their life easier. And trust me, that friend will thank you and take you for dinner or drinks or lunch or whichever for introducing them to such an awesome product. Okay, well, that was it. I hope everybody has a great week and thank you very much. And we'll see you soon. Bye.